Hi everyone, welcome to this lecture today on Introduction to Geography and Field Visit. Let me first tell you at the beginning, at the onset itself, what we are going to study in today's lecture. Number one, we are going to see our textbook, what we actually have in store for us for the entire year, what we are going to study in this. Then the lecture will focus on the table of contents, and finally, we will dwell into chapter 1, that is Field Visit. Now, students, for this year, we have a very strange part in geography. We are going to study a comparison between India and Brazil. Now, all chapters post field visit, right from chapter number 2 to the last chapter, you will see that there is a comparison between the two countries, India and Brazil. Now, naturally, a question arises in our mind: why do we have to study Brazil, sir? Now the reason behind this kind of move by the uh, textbook designing committee might be that there are a lot of similarities between India and Brazil. If you see demographically, if you see geographically, if you see from a different perspective, even in some sense history, we both were being ruled by the European colonizers. These might be the reasons, I suppose, that we have a comparative study of geography between India and Brazil. Politically, to see, India and Brazil are part of BRICS. Therefore, I think we have Brazil in our textbooks. So, the entire textbook is a comparative study between the geographies of Brazil as well as the geography of India. Now, what I would like to suggest you is that you search up for Brazil in your internet and see where it is located, how many states it has, and get a primary knowledge about the country. Because throughout the year, it will be extremely handy, because we are going to study uh, actually almost everything is covered in this textbook. So the syllabus is quite easy in some sense, so to say. And if you see the paper structure, you will understand that a lot of questions are being asked on both the parts. It's not like questions are coming from India, questions are coming from Brazil as well. So I know it's an alien country for you. Most of you are even thinking in which continent it lies in. Just to clear the air, India lies in Asia. I hope you know that. And Brazil comes in the South American continent. Alright. It's again a developing country like ours, and therefore, in this textbook, the authorities might have seen some point in order to study this comparative structures of geographical matters. All right. So that's what the introduction of to the textbook was. The B part of this lecture will focus on the chapter field visit. That is the first chapter for you. Now let me go to the textbook. As you can see right in front of you, these are table of contents. Let me make it a bit clear for you. All right. So first, you will see the chapter is on field visit. This chapter is quite easily comes under the title of practical geography. General geography focuses on location and extent of India and Brazil. From this chapter onwards, you will have the study of Brazil coming into play. What does location focus on? And what does extent means? The longitudinal and latitudinal locations of both these countries. Location, which hemisphere does it lie in? Whether it is the northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, eastern, or the western, so to say. What are the borders? What the land borders that Brazil shares with other countries, that India shares with other countries, water borders, so on and so forth. Physiography and drainage patterns are mostly, physiography means physical geography. From if you are traveling by a helicopter, what do you see first? You see rivers and mountains and valleys and trees and deserts and other different landforms. Those landforms are studied under physiography. Drainage pattern essentially means the flow of rivers. Like you have Ganga pattern systems here. Over here, you have the great mighty Brazilian Amazon River. You know, So these things would be discussed in this chapter in further details. Climatic conditions of both the countries, different tropics that uh, follow from these countries and make it different climatic zones is what we are going to study in this chapter. I won't go in a lot of details. All right. Next up, we have natural vegetation and wildlife, which discusses different trees, herbs, and shrubs which grow in India as well as in Brazil. Wildlife focuses on the different rare species of animals, different species of birds and insects that are found in different parts of the country. It is classified under physical geography. Now, chapter number 6, 7, 8, 9 focus on something called as human geography. Human geography focuses on human beings like you and me. All right. So, with respect to that, you see the dynamics of population, human settlement, economy, and occupations, tourism and transport, and telecommunication, which have been developed in both the countries. Population, as you know, Brazil has a little population of under 25 crores, a very lesser population. Human settlements, you will see very much dense population in India, whereas very dispersed population in Brazil. Economy of both the countries is classified under developing economy, whereas we are more powerful than Brazil in this factor. Remember, occupations, both the countries are primarily primary countries which focus on primary occupations, whereas India being dominated by farming community. You will see Brazil also being the coffee pot of the world, producing coffee on large and huge plantations, people working there. We're going to study all this in chapter number 8. Chapter number 9 focuses on tourism, transport, and communication. Tourism, as you all know, is booming in India, in Brazil as well. Brazil has pristine beaches, the famous Rio de Janeiro, Christ the Redeemer. You must have seen all those. Most of you who follow football might be knowing about all these things what I'm talking about. The transport routes, all the three ways, airways, roadways, waterways, are discussed in this. And communication, how the network of communication has been rapidly changing with respect to times, and so on and so forth. So this is the general introduction of the text. Let us now go to chapter number 1. Now, chapter number 1 is quite a lengthy chapter, but it is one of the most easiest. As you can see, it is about a field visit. What does this chapter primarily focus on? Let me tell you that first. I would suggest you first to read the chapter. I've already provided you with the ebooks. If you don't have, you can go to eBalbharti websites and download the textbook as soon as possible. I hope the typography is quite clear and you can see on your screen what I am going to read further. Now there's a boy called Rahul who is traveling with his mates from Solapur, I suppose. Naladurg, it's quite close from Solapur, you can see here. Naladurg has a fantastic fort. I've seen it. So there's a close by dam also, and then you come to Solapur. Then these people travel from Solapur to Indapur, then to UK. UK is not United Kingdom, it's Urale Kanchan. Alright. Then they go to Hadapsa, from which they will they will have lunch at Sinhagad Fort. You can see the markings of fort here, 2 and 3. Then they go to Pune. From Pune they'll travel all the way to Lonavala, Khopoli, and via Khopoli they will go to Alibag. Now this field visit is, you can see the state of Maharashtra is being horizontally traversed from point A to point B. Alright. Now, what is the purpose of this field visit? The school has engaged a special bus from state transport for this purpose. Rahul and his classmates have organized this visit under their teacher's guidance. Let us find out how the students are experiencing the changes occurring in the relief, that is the topography, whether it is plain or whether it is a valley, whether it is mountains, so on and so forth. Hmm. Soil, vegetation, and human settlements as they travel from Naradurg to Alibag. Go through the following conversation between teachers and the students. Now, there are some things that you need to carry while you are on a field visit. Number one is a first aid box, a backpack, water bottle, binoculars, camera to capture the movements, of course, map, but most of the things today you need a mobile for it. You don't need a magnetic compass, as it being shown here, it's already there in the app. A good phone can also replace the camera. Maps also are yesterday's thing today. Even book pencils are being replaced by notepads. Anyways, so these are the things that you need to carry. Also, your I card if you are injured somewhere and fall down, so they can send you back to your home. Alright, anyways, jokes apart. Day 1, they start at 6 a.m. in the morning. Mast nहा धो के. Teachers, the following is a dialogue between teacher and the student. The student, now we have left Nardurg and are on our way to Solapur. You can see what I was talking about, the Nardurg fort here with the waterfall, you can see. Very beautiful. Dear students, now we have left Nardurg and on our way to Solapur. We will have our breakfast at Solapur and lunch near Siagarh, Pune. Now all of you should observe both the sides along the roads and note down observations in your notebook with reference to these points, which is relief, water bodies that you see around, vegetation, what kind of vegetation do you observe when you look out of the window, what is the soil, what agricultural crops are being practiced there, human settlements, how it is, settlement patterns, whether it's heavily populated, dense populated, nucleated, so on and so forth. To which Rahul answers, yes ma'am, I can see we are experiencing undulating topography, uneven topography, and somewhere in between we can find plains. We can also see some agriculture fields. Sakshi says, we can see small settlements along the road. We can also see tea stalls, dhabas, petrol pumps, and other shops. To which teacher replies, yes Meena, your observations. Meena, madam, are we going to down the slope? Correct. We are now in the southern part of the Balghat ranges. They are the eastern offshoots of Sahyadris. Keep looking at the map given to you and the topography outside. You can easily see the changes occurring in the landscape. Now tell me about the settlement patterns and the housing types. Now, like this, in this chapter, you can see how they talk about linear settlements. They talk about different houses that they see, the kind of shelters. As they move towards Alibag, you will see they'll see traditional houses. Some houses being made of mud, some houses being different storage. They go into city and so on and so forth. So what is the purpose? What is the idea behind this text? Let me make it clear. The idea behind this text is very simple, my dear friends. It is to make you realize that the topography is different. Not a single place on earth is exactly the same. If you travel 20 kilometers, you will find different vegetation. You will find different conditions. You will find changes in humidity. You will find changes in agricultural patterns, so on and so forth. So the purpose of this chapter is mostly to make you realize that when you visit cross-section Maharashtra from point A to point B, Naradurg to Alibag, two different places, Solapur is very dry and very hot, whereas Alibag is hot as well as humid, but you have fantastic beach scenes over there. So the purpose of this is to make you realize that how in different parts of the district you will find different vegetations, different construction of houses, different cultivations around you, etc., etc. All right. Let us go forward and read some dialogues. Now, let me make you aware of something, that the dialogues of teacher are something that you need to observe more, because the dialogues of teacher, like you can see here, these are the dialogues in which there is maximum output of this chapter. I would like you to pay special attention when the dialogues of the teacher come in into your reading and all. Now they talk about the cultivation. Correct. When we had left Nadurg, we had seen cultivation of moog, urad, and other pulses, but now it is mainly sugarcane. This is because of the availability of irrigation facilities. Yes, ma'am. We had crossed a canal some time ago, and now I can see large reservoir here. Which is this reservoir? Near Indapur, the teacher asks the bus driver to stop at the side of the road. The students got down in a line and gathered around the teacher in a disciplined way. Refer to your maps. You can see Ujni Dam built on the river Bhima. Alright. You can see the picture which is shown right there in the right side. Now, dams, as you know, are mainly constructed for supplying water, irrigation, fishing, power generation, and these things. So the teacher explains the students what is all seen there. Now they make an entry into one of the most important plateau that you and I are sitting on, the Deccan Plateau. So when they come to Deccan, they will see major changes. Flatlands, mostly in Pune and areas around where we stay, you will see flatlands, and there is a typical change in physiography as well. And as they move, they will ask several other questions to their teachers. So their next spot, as I told you, is Sinhagad. Now this entire chapter focuses on Sinhagad. Most of you have visited Sinhagad. I remember last year auxilium strip went there, so most of the students have already seen it. Others have been to Pune. I've also visited the fort Sinhagad, one of the most historical forts. Recently there was a movie which came, Tanaji, which also showcased this one of the most important forts earlier known as Kondhana, but due to the bravery shown by Tanaji, it's called as Sinhagad. Anyways, let me not mix history into geography. Alright. So they move towards the fort of Sinhagad, where they see an entrance, and some things are written over there. There's information, they click pictures, and then they talk about how different historical things that they see, the aerial view of Pune, the vegetation around them, the birds, so on and so forth. You can see it for yourself, you can read that as well. Alright. So as they move, they see changes in physiography, they see changes in different patterns. From top, they could see the Khadakwasla lake and also the Khadakwasla dam that is built along it. So they could see everything around the Sinhagad fort, the cultivations over there, what kind of cultivations do they see, the Devtake tank from which they drink water, the natural springs restore the water over here. Even in summers you will see absolutely chilled water. People who have been there might have had tasty water from this. Alright. So they talk about the fort, they talk about all the different things that they see. Last but not least, they talk about the famous pitla bhakri and bhajis that are being served at Sinhagad. They relish that meal and they proceed towards Alibag. So similarly, they see some places in Pune like Shaniwar Wada, Tulsi Bagh, where they shop, Mahatma Phule Mandai, which has lots of hell lot of retail and wholesale markets. You can never walk over there. It's very crowded, as you know. So they move to Alibag, and at Alibag they see different places in between. They stop at Rajmachi. Rajmachi is, as you know, is a famous trek towards a fort, and then from there they see the view. Lonavala, as they go to Lonavala, Lonavala is a bit hilly, as you know. You know, there's a steep climbing, and then you move towards Lonavala. They see Rajmachi Point, and then they come towards Western Ghats in the Sahyadris. So let me read out the teacher's dialogue here. These are the slopes of Western Ghats. We call these hilly areas of Sahyadri. From here you can observe the differences in slopes, the gentle slope to the east and the steep slopes towards west. Towards the west you can see many cliffs, waterfalls about which you have learned in class 9. This region is also the source of river Ullas, a major west flowing river. So see the Rajmachi Point, you can see, and the different waterfalls that the teacher is talking about. Let me zoom it for you. Alright, you can see it here. Rajmachi Point, it's a famous trek, I've been here. Then they move towards Khopoli. You might have been to Khopoli when you've been to Imagica, right? So they observe Khopoli and the different ghats around the sections, and now they move towards different Vanrais and Devrais. Devrais are sacred groves where animals are being worshipped and they're not being killed, so on and so forth. Now they see, as they move towards Arabian Sea, they start perspiring, and skin becomes sticky. Now this is because of the increase in humidity. As you know, as we move towards the coastal areas, the humidity considerably increases. Alright, let me focus on the teacher's dialogue. The teacher says to Namdev, one of the students, what he observes is about the area that it receives lot of rainfall and so on and so forth. Namdev, correct observation. Because of heavy rainfall and nearness to the sea, this happens. Also because of high rainfall, rice is the major crop here. You can see most of the people around that places grow rice. Good. After reaching Alibag, before we go to our lodges, we will visit Talati office. You can gather information on the basis of questionnaire. Questionnaire is a list of questions that you've prepared. So that when they move to Talati office, they ask which zones are marked as agricultural zones, which zones are marked as forest zones, which are residential complexes, and so on and so forth. So after which these people go towards a wave cut platform and they go towards the Kolaba fort, and then their trip subsequently ends. They enjoy some beach activities and they sit on horse driven chariots and different rides, so on and so forth. So that's it with the chapter. Let me read the closing dialogue of the teacher and we shall wrap it up. Teacher: initially fishing was the main occupation. Later on, agriculture was also practiced in this region but away from the shore. Coconut, betel nut, jackfruit, banana and some spices are cultivated in the coastal plains. Most of you have been to Konkan and the surrounding Sindhudurg region and all, you would have observed that these are the things that you get there. This is horticulture farming. Today, tourism has become an important occupation here. Yeah, a lot of tourists like you and I who are fond of beaches will go there, visit, stay, generate money, income for these people, and this is how they live. You must remember, last year I taught you a chapter in English, the story of sea turtles. In this, a similar reference was made to the homestays that the tourists go and stay at these people's homes and they enjoy, and in return to which the locals get money. Now they relax in Alibag, they enjoy the beach time and they return back, and the chapter ends over here. Now below this chapter you have an exercise. These questions I have I will give the subsequent notes. And for your homework and post assignments, you have to write, you can know, you have to write the question answers which are being shared in the group in your notebooks. Now, any questions with respect to this chapter can be wrote down in the comment section, or you can directly reach me and ask. All right. I now further call upon you to read this chapter, understand this. It's one of the most easiest chapter, and I hope you have understood all that I was trying to say all this time. Thanks a lot, all of you.